back on. I had to grab. I still didn't find that other email. So yeah, that's a conversation, and I talked about that on my second book of a two-way street. Can't be this one-way street stuff no more. And I'm hearing that, like, one thing one of my homies said that went over there, Cyber International. I'm still waiting on the interview, bro. He's been holding up. Is that he talked about, like, in Kenya and in certain places in Africa, he mentioned something about the opportunity for technology growth. In terms of, he said things being underdeveloped and stuff like that. But now, my concern was, because a lot of times what happens, because this happened here right now. I was very critical. I just did my July 4th. I was kind of doing a lightweight dig over what's going on in terms of technology. And I said, okay, what do we do? What is the fourth to the slave? Do I run around with a flag? Do I go and listen to some NBA Youngboy? Do I go download some Yellow Bucks where you have another fourth? You have another 4 people shot? Now, I wasn't being facetious. I'm saying this is off code. You see what I'm saying? This is something we got to clean it up. That's something they're going to have to get cleaned up. And sometimes we talk about, they say, is it the music? I mean, man, 4 of your people got hit. That's the kind of music you do. Are we supposed to? I mean, I know it's lives. I mean, rest in peace, man. But are we supposed to do a bunch of whining and crying? And I'm out here giving folks the business. My music is talking about giving folks the business, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not saying that the sister, but she says in her lyrics, she says she be giving folks the business. This happened right around the 4th. Her music is about giving folks the business, man. Drill music. And now it happened to you. So are we supposed to do a Black Lives Matter march? I don't know. I'm just saying on a segue. What are we supposed to do? A Black Lives Matter march? Are we supposed to do a Stop the Violence march? Your music violent as hell. I like drill music. I like how it sounds. I don't like what happens afterwards. And see, that's the thing. You can't have it both ways. That's the thing is, okay, you got this music going on, and now your people got lit up at your party. But now it's boo-hoo. We need to get together. We need all to come together. No, we don't. Because those folks that participate in serial hood hitters that trying to annihilate other black folk, I like how the music sounds. I like dark, creepy music. That's why I 3 6 Mafia. When my homie introduced me to 3 6 Mafia, I'm sitting there listening to that song. They about to blow the boy's ass off. And then I didn't know that was Troy at the time. And I'm like, but we don't need that as a segment in our society, do we? Do we need that in black society? 4 people getting shot at a damn party? I think they should be banned. But anyway, I'm just saying that was, I just that social media. That social media. You're not gonna find that you're not gonna find that level of violence on regular TV unless you pay for it, unless it's a subscription or something like that. You don't really see that. You're not gonna see that kind of level of violence. But with YouTube and all of this other stuff, social media, you could see these videos and you could see this level of violence in music. So as black folks, are we supposed to break our necks to say, stop the violence? That's what you do. That's what you do. I'm not, like I say, I told my homie the other day, and he's like, man, Black folks need to come together. No, we don't. I agree. We need a black civil war. We sure do. Y'all go over there and we'll be over here. When you get yourself together, come back over. We don't need that. I don't have a problem. Like I told my homie, I said, I don't have an issue with criminals, the black criminal class eradicating the other black criminal class. I don't have an issue with it at all. If you got some dude that wants to drop a location and go smoke him, and he comes back and smokes him, I don't have no issue with that at all. Well, what you gonna do about it? I don't think we should preach to them. They made the decision to drop their ops and diss their ops. Okay, well, diss your ops and be buried. Why not focus on the young brothers and sisters that want to, and they might change too. So I'm not putting it off like they're not us. I'm saying, should we break our neck? Here's my issue. Now, when you start affecting the innocent people, street folks, they cut their heads off and burn each other with acid water for all I care. I don't care what street niggas do to street niggas. I don't. I think it comes with the territory. If you sliding on your ops and you going on dissing the dead on the internet and using all this technology to do that, I have zero issue with it at all. Y'all go knock each other out. I don't got a problem with that. Any more than I have a problem with two crystal meth dope fiends, you know what I'm saying, in Billy Bob, Indiana, doing something to each other. That's what y'all signed up for. Now, once it starts affecting our kids, which it will, and affecting innocent people, then I have an issue with it. But if y'all somewhere in the middle of a cornfield and y'all just shooting it out and you blow each other away, blow each other away. I have no issue with it at all. Some people think, like, DP, that's insane. I have no issue. I don't care what they do to each other, as long as it doesn't affect us. The problem is it's affecting the people that ain't into that. You see what I'm saying? The people that are not into that, once it starts affecting them, that's my issue. I'm like, okay, that's a problem. You know? And then people may say, well, DP, there's little kids that might watch that and they may want to emulate that. I mean, maybe. If they got decent parents and stuff like that, their parents going to be able to tell them the difference. Like my parents. Chucky's not real. Right? Child's Play is not real. Jaws is not real. You got to have some parents. But you have a lot of parents that get behind this stuff. You see what I'm saying? You have some parents that'll actually get behind it. They sitting there. I'm not about to listen to Chief Keef with my son. I'm not. He can't listen to that. He cannot listen to Mellow Bucks. I can listen to it because I'm old enough to pay for it and notice the difference. But I can't my son and my children, they can't listen to Mellow Bucks. And y'all can't go to a Mellow Bucks concert. That's parenting. I tell my child, well, I want to go to a Mellow Bucks concert. No. You go to a Mellow Bucks concert, something happened to you, that's on you. Because I told your ass not to go. I said, these niggas is popping drugs, shooting and twerking. Don't go. Well, I snuck out and I went and I got popped. I told your monkey ass not to go. You went anyway. You see what I'm saying? That's your fault now. Because I gave good parenting. I told you not to go. I told you can't listen to none of this shit in my house. Yet and still, you want to go to the Mellow Bucks concert. And you're dead now. You're dead now. And I don't want you to be dead. I told you not to go. Well, I got a bullet in my ass, Dad. Yeah, I told your monkey ass not to go. You could have went to an Erykah Badu concert. Oh, Lord. Get you an incense septum ring hood rat. But you won't get shot there. I'd much rather you go to that. You can have your little friends, your little rocket spiritual conversations and all that. I don't think that's a good idea either. You need something tangible. But you're not going to get shot at an Erykah Badu concert 9 times out of 10. But you can't go to Mellow Bucks. Maybe we do need to have a conversation about this shit. Maybe I've been kind of tiptoeing around it a bit too damn much. Maybe YouTube should have some kind of subscription. I mean, I know I pay for some kind of subscription, but maybe there's, and it'd be incentive on the artists. If you in order to in order to watch violent shit, you got to pay for it. A lot of these kids are getting this stuff for free. I'm getting, like, a lot of times, even when I listen to the new black media, I feel like I'm indebted. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube that I listen to or watch. I feel like I'm indebted. Like, man, I should pay for this. I should get this. I shouldn't get this for free. There's content that I like or I want to hear that I get for free. And it's too much free stuff going on. It's way too much free stuff going on, you know? It's crazy. But anyway, we'll get back into story time real quick. Now, I had a story that I think my uncle told me about, the one that I was telling y'all that passed, and I flew down to Nashville for his service and stuff. And so, because my folks is from Dixon, they from Dixon, Tennessee, right? So Dixon, Tennessee, and Summer, Kentucky. That's my roots. Dixon, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and then the dad's side, Mississippi, and I'm hearing word from South Carolina, by the way of, they say either Creeks or Blackfoot or something like I don't know, something like that. So, and you know, most black folks came through South Carolina. 9 times out of 10, you know, if you come from here, you came through South Carolina. Your folks came through Charleston or something like that. South Carolina, Maryland too, and stuff like that. But South Carolina was the slave gateway. To my knowledge, it was the slave gateway. Like, South Carolina was a huge gateway. Maryland, DC, New York, of course, you know, but so now my uncle, I think he came back from the war, or he came, I don't know if it was Nam or something in order. He was somewhere, and he was with a friend. And this is what tells you a lot about fraternities and things of that nature. He was with a friend that had a Mason ring. He was a Mason. He's a Freemason. And the Freemason, they got all this little secretive stuff or whatever, but he was a Mason. And he was telling me about a time where a white cop pulled them over. And I think they were in the Jim Crow South. I'm not sure where they were at. But the white cop pulled them over somewhere. He had the ring too. Now, you know, if another Mason is in trouble, you're supposed to look out for him. But that goes to tell you the racial lines. This officer pulled him over, and the guy was mad because he gave him a ticket. Now, he saw that the officer had the ring, and he had the ring. They were both Masons. So he was supposed to let the dude go. I think he was speeding a little bit or something like that. I don't know. He got a ticket for something. So he was real pissed off because he wouldn't, you know, uphold his masonry. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, when I talked to my uncle about this, he was like, yeah, man, you know, he wouldn't let him go. I mean, he wouldn't let him go with no ticket. And I think he protested. He says, man, we Masons, you supposed to let me go. You supposed to, and the officer's like, nope, I ain't letting you go. I'll tell you about a time real quick where a Mason tried to recruit me. It's interesting because I thought about this because I was driving down a county road in St. Paul last week or the week before that. And I saw a Mason lounge. And I used to always kind of wonder, lodge. And I was kind of wondering, you know, what the stuff was, you know, years ago and whatnot. And, you know, I never got into it. But one time when I was working at the Minnehaha One-Stop Shop, there was this brother that came in with these little SIM cards. And he seemed like he had a little flim-flammery about him or whatever, you know. He seemed like he was kind of, it was always something that I couldn't put a finger on him. Usually I'm pretty good with how people are and like, okay, I couldn't read them very well. And that made me a little uneasy because I'm good at reading people, but I couldn't read them well. And this dude, he was selling us these little SIM card phones. So what folks would come in is, this was around the time when the smartphones, the Androids, would start to get cracking. So you had dudes come in with the Androids, they start getting apps, and you know, it was at the emerging stages as far as I know. This had to been around this 2009, 2010. I still got the little flip phone. So I remember around this time, we still was dealing with Facebook. So we'd be promoting our flyers and stuff on Facebook. It would be me, Jay, and my homie Logic that I used to hang around. So now we had the mini haha one-stop shop. So you got folks coming in buying the SIM cards from us. They were like, I don't know if they were burnouts or a certain amount of minutes or whatever. So we buy them from him and we resell them. And what dudes is, you know, when the hustlers come in, they, you know, dudes be switching their phones out all the time. But we had to give some of them dudes their money back because sometimes the shit would cut off. And I don't know if this dude was using a fraud card or whatever, but the shit would just cut off. It would just cut off, and they'd be like, hey man, my phone cut off. And I'm like, oh man. So they had to chip the little SIM card. So we had to give them their money back. And when dude came by, he stopped kind of hanging around. But at first, when I was talking to him, and he knows I do the computer repair, I don't know how much y'all understand on how dudes a lot of times will try to exploit once they learned that I knew how to do this computer stuff and all that. That kind of brings me into another story. I'm gonna do several little story times outside of my little social media Mellow Bucks Pan-African rant. During this time, this dude was like, man, you know how to do this, that, and the third. You should join the Masons. I said, what's it about? Can't tell you much, man. You just got to come by the lodge. That made my spidey sense. My tinfoil hat went up to the roof. Like, okay, you should be able to tell me more about this. Well, you know, we don't really talk about it and all that. And I'm like, bro, I can't. I need to know about what you talking about. I need to know more about this before I just jump into this. I got questions. Well, yeah, we don't do, you know, we don't ask that many questions. You know, we don't really. Basically, in so many words, he wasn't really trying to answer too many of my questions. And I said, well, you know, I told him, no, man, I got to look into this a little bit more. So, you know, I go on Google or wherever I'm, you know, and I'm start looking into this Freemason stuff, and you know, the Illuminati pulls up and all that. Then I start really looking deep down into it, and I say, well, you know, they had the Freemasons, 33rd Masons, and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of the Masons that were black, man, they were just they were folks that was talented, that knew how to do masonry, like they knew how to do stuff with their hands and stuff like that and all that. And then there was other things, and I said, well, you know, this dude, he should have been able to tell me that. He should have been able to tell me and debunk the myths or the Illuminati and the handshakes and we carpenters or whatever. He should have been able to tell me more about the history. I shouldn't have had to go to the internet to find out the stuff that probably wasn't even true. So he lost me on that, you know. But it's crazy because when I remember him, years earlier, I found out he tried to recruit me before, but I couldn't put it together. You see what I'm saying? A lot of those guys that try to recruit you for something, they'll try to get you to be involved, and they'll make it look like a, you know, sometimes they'll, you know, and I ain't saying he had nothing nefarious, but you didn't have enough information. It wasn't like a business deal. It was like, join. Well, I want to know what I'm joining. So now, when I talk about exploitation, what people try to do, a lot of times, this is what dudes used to do a lot of times. When I used to work on computers, especially over South, especially when I was younger, before I started getting contracts and stuff together, older guys would have me come by, work on their computers or do what they do. And then what they would try to do, they probably figure, well, I didn't really have too much smart to game, which I still was very, very wet behind the ears for a very long time. They will say, come fix this computer or do this, or man, let's start a little business or let's do that, and I can have computers. Basically what niggas was doing is niggas was trying to get hot computers and all kind of little stuff, have me fix them and all that, and then whatever, oh man, let's hang out and smoke, and then yeah, I'll bring some hoes over, whatever. So they might have some little hood rats that might be somewhat impressed by them, and they'll try to hook me up as if I can't get my own. And I never fell for that because, you know, I was a handsome little bastard 15, 20 years ago. You see what I'm saying? People still think I look a little younger to a certain degree sometimes, but I was a handsome little bastard, you know what I'm saying, back then. And so I didn't have no problem pulling nothing. I wasn't the most confident, but, you know, all the time, but I didn't really have too many issues. I didn't really have too many issues. It wasn't problematic. So, another time when I was in the one-stop shop, and that was, remember the story I told y'all about the chick from Chicago. She had just moved up here not too long ago, and she came into the shop with her uncle. And I'll never forget that. And usually a lot of times, and like I say, people in Chicago are a little faster than people here. They think a little quicker. They're faster. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of quick. They're like real quick, always trying to get a deal. You know what I'm saying? So you got to catch up to them quick. Otherwise, you'll get involved with the flim flam. I'm telling you. They walk into the shop. Now, I don't know if he tried to sick her on me. It didn't feel like that, but she came in with her uncle one day. They must have heard about the shop. Turns out the guy already knew some guys that we already knew or whatever like that. So they were involved with the flim flam. This nigga was going to Hennepin Tech or something and learn his little cybersecurity shit. So he knew how to go on a USB and plug it in somewhere and get information. All kind of, it was just straight flim flam. So I know why this nigga was going to I wasn't knocking him, but I know why he was going into IT. He still didn't know as much as me, but he was learning enough for him to get with the flim flam and the skullduggery. So he walks in with his niece, kind of tall, a little overly thick. The average guy would have been, and then, you know, a lot of niggas be into the red bone, so they extra perked up about that. Oh, that's a red bone. So, you know, that was a thing where niggas be like, yeah, I like that red bone. So they come in, hair down to here. She was kind of bad. But now, she walks in with him, and we start talking about computer stuff and all that. And then so he's kind of like, hey. She's like, man, that little young nigga got something going on or whatever. So she's like, and you know, women, they can see when a dude got something going on. They can see potential when they can see actual proof. I was a proof. This your shop? Well, I'm co-workers, or not co-workers, my homies, co-owners. We all own it. They said, but you the one with the computer knowledge, right? I said, yeah. They said, oh, yeah, that's you. That's how, so they boosted me up. Dude boosted me up a little bit. So now, he's talking to me and stuff like that. And every now and then I could see he's steady. Hey, this little young dude, he got something going on. He got a future. Every few little couple minutes, he's kind of telling his niece, hey, there you go. You know, so they, you know, and that's one thing about folks in Illinois, Chicago. If they like you, they let it be known. And if they like you, they want to introduce you to somebody else. They don't really be holding back far as, you know, because maybe he felt like some of these little Minnesota dudes be kind of broke and don't really be doing too much or whatever. So she said, well, you need to get with him. So she's steady so she's looking around at all the purses and all that kind of stuff and this, that, and the third. And so she comes over, starts talking or whatever. And I said, I like this little broad. So we exchange numbers. This nigga puts in a USB drive in the computer. Then he shows me what's on it or whatever like that. Like, oh man, it could do this, it could do that. And so I kind of knew like, okay, I see what he's trying to do. So I asked him flat out, I said, man, You with the flip flam in so many words. Like, well, yeah, man, I'm trying to see what I can. I said, so this nigga was going to try to get me to work with him so they could go on different computers in different places and put the USB drive in there so he could capture shit. So I said, yeah, he's 100% with the flim flam. So I said, that ain't what I'm doing, man. I know what you're trying to do, but he tried to show me the program, and I looked at the program, and I was kind of thinking, now the program is like a passive surveillance or reconnaissance system, but it captures all your shit, captures your keystrokes and all of that. So now, this would have been a good thing for me to do something legit if I would have got the program, because this is what I would have did. But I didn't want to get involved with it too much. But this is something that I could have done. I could have had a service, and this might got me in some trouble, but I could have had a service that tells spouses or girlfriends or whatever like that, almost like an investigative unit, hey, I can find out what your significant other is doing on the computer and present the evidence. This is a known thing that people do, but I'm in the hood. I done already seen, look, there was this one cat, I forgot his name. He was, should I say his name? I won't say his name on this one, but he used to go to South High with us and stuff like that. He used to hang with this other guy that had got killed that we knew. Man, this dude came in our shop one time. This girl, she comes in our shop, badass little red. I mean, this is one of the baddest I ever seen in my life. Cold, but then she got all these tats everywhere and stuff like that. I mean, she was a 10 and a half. I'm like, why she fucking with this nigga? I mean, you know. But anyway, he pulls up in his Caprice with the windshield cracked. Yeah, man, you know, and he's limping, and she done did something to him. He done did something. So she comes in, wants her phone charged. And I don't usually charge phones, but, you know, I charge her phone and stuff like that. And then she said, I'll be back a little bit. So I didn't really know who she was at the time. But then he came hours later with his windshield cracked. Yeah, man. Something happened, you know, and he's like, man, is a girl charging your phone, charging the phone? And I said, yeah, there's a girl charging my phone. Who is that? Oh, yeah, man, that's my girl, whatever. I said, that's your girl? I said, what happened to your Caprice? The windshield, she cracked the whole windshield. He's like, man, she done cracked the whole windshield. And he was kind of limping and stuff. And I was like, that's you? And he's like, yeah. I said, bro, what did you do? Oh, she caught me creeping or whatever. I said, you creeping on that? I said, dude. I said, man, somebody be done took her. And he's like, yeah, I know, bro. He's like, man. So he leaves eventually. He buys a CD and he leaves. She comes back. And I said, well, shit, nigga, you might want to leave. I said, if she comes back and sees you here, she might crack something else. So he hurried up and got in his Caprice and drove off like after 5 minutes. She comes back 3 hours later, you know, asking about her phone. I said, I hand her her phone. She said, hey, did a nigga come up here with a Caprice? I said, there's always a bunch of Caprices coming up here. I said, so I don't, you know, she said, yeah, but did a dude come up here with his windshield cracked? I'm like, no. But I had kind of a smirk on my face a little bit because it was hard for me to, you know, so she's looking at me like, yeah, that nigga did. I said, I ain't got nothing to do with that, ma'am. Would you like to have an incense or a CD? So she's like, I'm still looking at this broad like she's so damn bad. I'm like, I ain't gonna lie. At one point, I was kind of like, man, hell with that nigga talking about. I was almost about to, because it looked like it kind of lost her. And I was halfway gonna be like, look, shit, you ain't gonna have no problems out of me. But, so, that was kind of all around that same time when that guy kind of came in there with the USB. So, my whole point was I started thinking, I could make money off of this shit. Because some spouses, they want to know what's going on. It's an investigation thing. But when you have situations like that at your shop, She's cracking windshields. They might fight in front of your shop and come back to you. Nigga, you gave my girl information on this, that, and the third. I'm an investigative unit. That's my job, to talk about what's on this computer. But you see, that's why I didn't do it. That's the reason why I didn't do no investigative unit, because I could have done it. It's like forensics, but like I could have did it. You bring me your computer, I'll tell you what somebody done did and search on it and put out a report. Hey, this is the evidence of what they done said. These are the websites they went on. I need $200, $300. I could have did it, and it could have captured all that information in that USB. But I learned that from dude with the flip flap. I learned that from dude that was pulling these skullduggerous stuff. I learned that. That's before I went to school for cybersecurity. But the reason why I didn't do it, even when I learned it like years later in cybersecurity, like all the programs to be able to do stuff, I thought about doing it then. Then I said, man, somebody might shoot me. It's going to be some Negro that's going to get mad because he done did some stuff he wasn't supposed to do. And I'm giving the evidence based on the service that this woman is asking for, or vice versa. Well, you just ruined my relationship, dude. I'm not doing any different than what the white folks do. They have investigative services. But you dealing with Negroes, so they ain't really gonna comprehend. Like, they gonna look at it like you ruined my relationship by providing her this information. She brought her computer to you, and you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a gang of females that's gonna be bringing their computer trying to find out information on this nigga, what he done did, and got proof. So, you know, usually when they accuse you of something, well, man, you did this or whatever, man, I ain't do this and I ain't do that. They may catch text messages in the phone or whatever, but this is unrefinable proof. This is like the nail in the coffin. Married couples, niggas might have killed me for some shit like that. Like, dude, you just got me a divorce. Knowing damn well he was creeping and doing what he wasn't supposed to be doing, but that don't matter. He's not going to come to her about that. He's going to come to me. You're the one that my wife paid for a service, and you gave her all this information, and you ruined my fucking marriage. Nigga, I'm going to whack you. That's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it, y'all. I didn't do it because I said, man, this shit going to get me in trouble. I would have had a right to do it, but I didn't do it because it's going to get me in trouble. So that's one little update to a story. Here's the next update. I'll stop it here and then